What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky? What's holding you back? You gotta fly like an eagle and go high. What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky? Oh, holding you back. You finally gotta reach for the sky. I was born to succeed, not to be a spoke in the wheel. Told myself there's more to this than just waking up when I feel. So I made a commitment to turn my earnings up. Couldn't see myself as an employee that still couldn't. Looked in the mirror, saw a spark in my eye. Knew I had to hustle and stop living a lie. I packed my dreams in a suitcase, took the first train. I'm headed for the horizon with success is no doubt.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of What's Holding You Back. My name is Rob McCray from the Business Building Network, and I am delighted to be with you today as we're going to have a very interesting topic as we're going to be talking about, are we losing real life social skills in a social media world? Yes, so this should be a very interesting topic of discussion for today. So we look forward to hearing and seeing your feedback and interaction as a part of this discussion here today. And we welcome all of your comments. So please, by all means, put your comments in the chat and we will post them on the screen so we can read over them and go over the things in which you are expressing pertaining to this particular topic of discussion. And we just want to do a brief recap from last week's monumental discussion that we had here on what's holding you back. And if you missed it, I want to encourage you to go back and watch that broadcast as we had our very own special guest, my very own pastor, Pastor Fred Pinnock from the Dominion Worship Center. And he came on to speak about, can your pastor or a person in a leadership position actually be your friend? And I had so many comments and feedback throughout the course of the week pertaining to that particular topic of discussion. And it was very inspiring and encouraging to hear some of your comments and the interaction. It was very good. And some people had a different perspective on their thoughts of a leader or their actual pastor being a friend when it comes to outside of the church dwelling space. So, yes, very interesting conversation. I want to encourage you to go back and watch it if you missed it last week. But today, we're on to a new topic, a new discussion, and we're going to be talking about, are we losing our social skills in a social media world? But before we get into that topic of discussion for today, we're going to be with you very shortly today. It's not going to be a long discussion, but we always like to start off our discussion with a quote of inspiration pertaining to the topic of today. And for today, our inspirational quote will be, the most important thing in communication is to hear what isn't being said. Mm, yes, those silent words can speak volumes. Yes, it's just noticing those different nuances, those body actions, and facial expressions can tell us a lot. So we want to make sure we're listening, but we're also watching what our counterpart is displaying when we're having those discussions with them. So it is very important that we have a develop those skills, our social skills, when it comes to having um, conversations with others and utilizing those social skills in which we have or need to develop more instinctively. So, yes, this is our inspirational quote for today. So, now that we have our inspirational quote, let us get into our topic for today. And once again, that is, are we losing our real life social skills in a social media world? And please, family, as you are jumping on board, please leave us a comment. We would love to welcome you and acknowledge you as being a part of the podcast this afternoon. Please, by all means, like and share it out with your friends and family, and tell them to come on board and be a part of the conversation for today. So, without any further ado, let us get into our topic for today. So let me just take this down, and we're going to bring up some slides and start off our conversation. All right. So when it comes to socializing and being on social media, um, many would say that they're one of the same, but there is some subtle differences, and some of the things that we do on social media, we might not necessarily do in a social or more intimate setting when we are amongst our friends and our peers. So that is one thing that we're going to be discussing today is, are we living a life whereas we're not continuing to develop those social skills because we're hiding behind social media, or is social media in effect able enabling us to better our social skills? So that's what we really want to hit on today. So is social media more of a benefit, or is it a detriment to a society on a whole? So that all depends on how we look at social media and how we are utilizing it. So many a times people get the notion or the belief that um, everything that they see on social media, they take it for the truth and the gospel, but that is not the case. And a lot of times, a lot of the things that you see on social media can be the furthest from the truth. And this is where we get into trouble with trying to live up to the lifestyle or the glitz and glamour that we see online, which might not necessarily be a reality of the actual life in which we are seeing these people in living. So that is some of the things that we're going to really touch upon and get a better understanding and clarity as to how we are portraying ourselves on social media, and is this a true reflection of who we are in life, right? So we always want to be painting ourselves in the best possible picture. We want to be making a positive reflection upon the lives that we are living, and not be masquerading as something that is fictitious as to who we truly are. you know and we see that a lot when it comes to social media, but a lot of times people are not aware, and then when they come to find out that is not the reality of the person that is portraying these images, then they tend to fall flat and be very disappointed by what they're seeing, because they didn't meet up to their actual expectations. So, yes, greetings and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Our topic of discussion for today is, are we losing real life social skills in a social media world? And we're just hitting on our first slide for this discussion here. And we're talking about some of the social media sites in which we are seeing a lot of these things coming about. And as you can see here on this slide, these are various social media sites that many of us are using, such as your Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and so on and so forth. But like I was saying, a lot of the things and the images and the videos that we're seeing on these social media sites may be far from the reality and the person in which we are following or have an influence. So we need to be very um, careful about indulging in too much social media activity, especially when we don't really know the person that is posting all of these images and videos when it comes to social media. All right. So some people love social media and some people dislike it for their own reason. But like I said earlier, it is all about how you utilize social media that's going to make all of the difference. Social media is just a tool or an outlet for you to create a presence for yourself and share your story or whatever it is that you feel as if you want to share. But if you're going to be sharing on these social media sites, then be yourself. Don't try to be something that you're not, because the time will come when the light will be shown and reflect, and you will be exposed for who you truly are. So it's always best to be true to your word and true to yourself, and let those people that want to be a part of your social media presence, they will gravitate towards you because of that. Right. Let me just check the comments real quick. Okay. So blessings, Sister Yvette from Bold Nutrition's Consulting. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a great pleasure to have you on board with us here on What's Holding You Back, as we are continuing on our conversation here with our second slide. And this one is talking about creating some of those social skills, or should I say, developing these social skills. And some of these skills are just listening, speaking, actually reading more. That's going to give us a better comprehension and understanding. Of course, we want to be doing more creative writing, utilizing your different skills, working and express your confidence. Be confident in who you are. That is the greatest presence you can have in any situation, whether that be on social media or just socializing in general. Be confident and fulfilled in who you are. You know, have that presence about you. Also, in learning, so we always want to be in a position where we are learning more about ourselves and others as well. And that's going to only help us when we are indulging in conversations, and it's going to greatly impact our communication skills. So these are just some of the things that we need to be aware of when it comes to socializing, not just on social media, but I'm talking more about in person and having those direct conversations with your friends, your families, peers, so on and so forth. All right. So when we talk about social media, you know, people use it for many different um, reasons. So a lot of times when you see, especially the younger generation, they are ones that really are so committed to being a part of social media. Have you ever been around a teenager and if they don't have their phone for over an hour, it's like they just go into a fit. It's like they don't know how to act or how to behave without the presence of social media. They're constantly on their phone, checking their messages, their posts, and likes on what's going on in social media. You know, a lot of times you see now different videos when the younger generation, the younger 20s and the teens, when they ask for persons from the opposite sex, they don't even ask for a phone number anymore. They ask for their social media information. Let me get your Instagram, or any Telegram or whatever it may be, that they can connect with them via social media. They don't ask for a phone number. They ask for their social media information. And that is so different to me, but it's just to show, a trend in the ways of thinking and how some people go about doing things. So yeah, it's a sight to behold, but it is definitely different. Yes, blessings, Evangelist Aisha. So good to see you. Yes, you had a wonderful uh, topic for our next discussion when we bring back on Pastor Fred. So, yes, thank you so much for joining us as we are talking about, um, are we living, are we losing our social skills in a social media world? Yes, yes, yes. So, continuing on, we're just talking about some of the difference in seeing how the younger generation, how they act and communicate utilizing social media more so than actual face-to-face communications and socializing with their peers. And it is just different. It's a different time in which we're living in, but to each his own. Whatever is comfortable for you, you know if it works out for you, then yeah, all good. But a lot of times, like we're talking about developing and having, are we losing those social skills when it comes to the younger generation? I would say most definitely yes, because they are so impacted and so reliant upon social media to socialize, that they really don't take the time out to just sit down and talk to someone, because when they're in that type of environment, they might feel a little socially awkward. Why? Because they haven't developed those skills. They haven't been in a position where they just sit down and communicate with someone. They're so comfortable and used to being on their phones and on social media when they have someone sitting directly across from them and they're doing the same thing. So it's just different, but it goes in a way of not enabling us to enhance our social skills. So, yes, that is one thing that we really need to be um, cognizant of, and try to talk to them more and have those conversations with them about being more interactive with their friends and their peers. All right. So let us now transition a little bit. So now we're talking about the social skills, but let's talk about some of the ramifications that go along with being so dependent on utilizing social media and not being more interactive with your friends and your peers, right? So I just want to share some information with you. So the most active group on social media is the age group of 18 to 24 years old. And like I was saying, if you've been around that age group, you know that they are consistently on their phones and on their social media devices. And in direct correlation with this, we have seen that depression in teens is at a very concerning high level, with recent data showing a significant portion experiencing persistent sadness, hopelessness, and the major depressive episodes, especially among girls and within the LGBTQ community. This is indicating a very um, problematic situation when it comes to their mental health. And statistics show very high rates of depression, with 4 in 10 high schoolers reporting hopelessness and 1 in 5 teens experiencing a major depressive episode. And this is very alarming. So they're saying 40% of high school students felt sad or hopeless persistently. And this is, a direct relationship to having so much depression going on within the teens and the younger generation. All right, around 20% of adolescents aged 12 to 17 experienced a major depressive episode as well. Why? Because they are not mature enough to handle certain situations. So the study shows and states that a teenager's brain is generally not fully developed to handle intense stress and ultimately that depression that comes about. They cannot handle it as effectively as an adult. Why? Because as and you see here on the screen, the red part that is the frontal temporal of the brain, the frontal prefrontal cortex. And this is the brain's control center. It's located at the front part, it's the front lobe, and this is responsible for complex functions like our planning, our decision making, problem solving, and impulse control. So, a lot of times, teenagers, especially teenagers and the younger 20 generation, when they see so many things going on social media, they feel like they have to be competing with their peers and what they're seeing. And this creates a false narrative for them. They feel like they have to live up to the expectations in which they are seeing. And a lot of the times, which we said earlier, a lot of the things that we're seeing on social media are not actually a reality. They're just propped up and, putting things out there to make it seem as if they're living such a glamorous life. But in reality, that is not such the case. And then when they look upon themselves, they feel as if, they have not achieved that certain level. And then they become feeling a little despondent and feeling as if they have not um, achieved their or how should I say, they have not reached their full potential, and they start to get down on themselves, and then that just creates a snowball effect where they go, deeper into that hole of trying to find validation, and then they start doing things, acting out to get that attention, and then it really can lead to some bad habits, some bad characters, and some things that can really create problems in their lives and ultimately lead to them having those depressive thoughts and really can put them into a state of depression. So that's why I say we have to be very careful about the content that the kids are that they are watching, and make sure they have a true sense of what the true reality is, and not just taking everything for what they see, because television is the greatest liar out there, and social media is not far behind it. So if you're not um, have a clarity and understanding of what's really going on and what the true reality is, then you can very easily get caught up and start trying to pursue or live a life that you see on social media, which is not in essence a true reality. So we have to be very, very careful about that. All right. All right. So let's go into the next slide. All right. Hold on. We got a couple of people coming in. So let's see. Sister Sandra Salmon, blessings. Okay, is that Pastor Salmon? Bless you, Pastor. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, all right, good, good, good. Yes, family. So as you are jumping on board, please leave us a comment. We would love to acknowledge you and welcome you to the podcast as we continue on with our conversation for today, as we are talking about are we losing real life social skills in a social media world? So yes, this is our topic for today, and we are on our last slide, and this one here is very interesting, and we're going to talk a little bit about that dopamine boost. So on the previous slide, we talked about teenagers and not having that frontal lobe of their brain being fully developed and being unable to handle certain situations, especially those stressful situations, and being in a position where they may become embarrassed and they really don't know how to deal with that, and they creates great amount of anxiety for them, and then it can lead to other problems. So we want to be cognizant of that and making sure that we're just protecting them from some of the things that they may see on social media, and making sure that they know what's real from actual fiction. All right. So now we're going to talk about that dopamine boost. So, what is this dopamine boost that we're talking about? All right. So, dopamine is actually a hormone that the brain sends out, right? And we get this dopamine rush by achieving our expectations when it comes to completing a goal, experiencing a victory in life, in sports, or even in video games, right? Or it can be something as simple as rewarding yourself with a special gift. It's that feeling of gratification, that feeling of fulfillment that keeps pushing you to achieve that level, that feeling, that emotion again and again and again. It's it's like a high, it's a rush that you get when you have accomplished something. So a lot of times people will it can be kind of addictive, right? So they're so they want to feel this high so bad that they'll keep doing things to give them that feeling, and they'll like playing the video games. They'll keep playing the game for hours and hours and hours. Why? Because they're getting that rush when they achieve something. They hit their goals in that game, or they're winning at it, right? And it just fulfills that feeling, and they just want to continue to experience that. And that's why they become so addicted to these games, and you can't get them off of it because they want to continue to feel that high, that rush that they get from achieving that victory or that fulfillment that they're getting from these particular games or whatever it is that they're doing. So that is something that we have to find that balance and find other ways, other natural ways to give ourselves that actual dopamine rush or that dopamine boost. And as the slide states, you can get that also from exercise, a healthy diet, good meditation and prayer, exposure to sunlight, or listening to good music, setting goals and achieving them. And nothing like a good cold shower. And of course, having those good social connections. Yes. So these are just some of the things that we really need to have a better understanding of and how to enhance our social skills when it comes to our everyday living and just surrounding ourselves with good people and making sure that we're in a good environment. We are in a good mental state, and we just want to encourage and uplift each and every one around us. So that is a great way that we can continue to develop our social skills while still being a part and using social media. Because, like I said in the beginning, social media is just a tool that we can use to express ourselves, right? So we want to make sure that we're utilizing it in a positive manner and not putting anything out there negative. But we also have to remember that the eyes are always watching. Someone is always watching you out there. So you better make sure you are on your best behavior because, like it says, the streets are watching and there are cameras all over the place. There are people with their cameras all over the place. So if you're doing something you ain't got no business, you best believe somebody's going to be recording and they're going to put you on blast. So be out there doing what you're supposed to be doing and be positive and be an inspiration unto others. So, yes, family, that is our discussion for today. So, please leave your feedback. What do you think about social media and our social skills? Are we actually still developing our social skills, or have we put that on the back burner and instead become more reliant upon social media to handle our conversations with our friends, families, and our peers, right? What is your perception on that? How do you feel about it? What is your walk in using social media? What do you use social media for? Is it a hindrance for you or is it an asset? How is it benefiting you in your life? So, yes, I'd love to hear your feedback. Please type it in the comment as we are about to close out for today. But yes, I just want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of the discussion today. Yes, we had a wonderful time talking about developing our social skills and getting some clarity as to why the younger generation, the teenagers and adolescents, excuse me, why they are having so many problems when it comes to anxiety and depression. And like I said, it's because that frontal lobe, the precortical vortex, is not truly developed as of yet. So they don't know how to handle certain situations. They have not totally developed and matured to that point. So when it comes to, impactful decision making, they need to really seek guidance of their elders, of their parents, of someone of influence that can give them good advice and steer and point them in the right direction. All right. So, family, we're going to close it out for this evening. I just want to thank you all so much for being a part of the discussion for today. And please, by all means, be sure to share this out And if you have not already done so, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. As you can see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So go ahead and click on that subscribe button, and also click on the notification bell so that you can receive a notice each and every time we go live. And we go live every Wednesday right here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the What's Holding You Back Now YouTube channel, and also on my Facebook page of Rob McCray. So once again, thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next week on the next edition of What's Holding You Back. Take care.
What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky. What's holding you back? You gotta fly like an eagle and go high. What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky. Oh, holding you back. You finally gotta reach for the sky.